This episode is brought to you ad-free thanks to all of our wonderful patrons. You can get tons of exclusive content, including bonus episodes, warm-up audio, and early access to episodes, all while helping us keep the show going by joining at patreon.com/shonenflop.
Welcome to this episode of Shonen Flop, where we talk about manga and Shonen Jump that didn't make it big. I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
Next week, we'll be talking about, Super Dog. Really, I don't know how to say that second word, but Super Dog, that's our word for ravioli. If you'd like to read along with us, be sure to join the discussion in our Discord and submit your 6-word summary. Find a link to our Discord in our episode description and on our website, shonenflop.com. But this week, we are talking about Wizard Soul, and we are joined by our guest, the wonderful Tri-Attack Zach.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you so much for submitting the Be a Guest form. It's always awesome when people fill that out. We do try and go through it. People are looking. It's linked in every episode. And Zach, do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so I am Tri-Attack Zach. I am an amateur Twitch streamer, a stand-up comedian, and all-around just lover of all things weeb, otaku, and nerdy, trying to basically cut up my little nerdy corner of the internet where I can share the stuff I love with everyone, and in return, everyone can kind of share their stuff with me, and we just kind of teach each other things, learn things, and have a good time.
I can respect that. And so why did you pick the name Tri-Attack? Just for the rhyme, or is it actually your favorite Pokemon move?
So it is actually my favorite Pokemon move. Porygon Z is one of my favorite Pokemon. And about 10, 12 years ago, when I first had the idea of maybe dabbling in content creation, I wanted to do almost exclusively Pokemon content. And I just wanted to have something that meant something. So it was my favorite move from my favorite Pokemon. And just like how Tri-Attack has the 3 elements in it, there are multiple components to who I am, so that way I don't get locked down to just one thing.
I love it. I'm just imagining now, speaking of Porygon Z, Porygon Sigma, and it just fucking is a Porygon with that fucking mewing face.
Kind of wish your name was like Josh, but like you changed it to Zach to fit with Tri-Attack.
Oh, that is not above something that I would do. I love a nice, catchy, rhyming name.
Isn't that right, Horton Jordan?
Oh, God damn it. All right.
Jordan's like, I have a super bad headache. And Dave's like, well, trying to think of a nice rhyme on the spot, Jordan. You got this.
I have a literal migraine.
That's the experience of reading this manga.
No. All
right, let's get into manga details. So Jordan, tell us all about this series.
So this is Wizard Soul Koi no Seisan, which literally means Holy War of Love, or apparently Jihad of Love.
Yeah, the word jihad shows up quite a few times in this manga.
Yeah, holy shit. But this is created by Aki Eda, and that is Aki Star. There's like a little star in between Aki and Eda. But notable people they had as assistants, no one really knows, but an assistant runs her various social.
Did you just say her?
Oh my god, yeah, that's right.
It's our second ever female mangaka.
Whoa!
Put it on the board.
our second ever confirmed female mangaka.
You're right.
But yeah, it's really cool, and that kind of there are little bonus comics at the end, and at the end of a lot of these chapters, and most of them are translated.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about it. But yeah, apparently she is a prolific doujin circle leader and mangaka. And apparently there's just like a massive list of things she's done. But
yeah,
according to MaxyBee, some of the things were Bonoji, Koi wa Hikari, Please Wake Up, Kusakabe-san, and Hokago Metaverse. Oh, another Metaverse, David.
Oh, God. Just that Please Wake Up. I was like, what if someone listening is like in a coma?
Please wake up.
Please wake up. It wasn't your fault.
Just come on, little bit. Just little foot tickle.
It was your fault, but please forgive yourself.
Ooh.
But yeah, so this ran in monthly comic Flapper, as in the 1920s Flappers. And according to MaxyBee, this is what Girls und Panzer ran in.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the manga where like the girls transform into tanks, right?
No, it's just cute girls doing cute tank things, right?
Yeah, it's basically Harry Potter school, but instead of magic, everyone gets a tank.
That's better than Harry Potter. But according to MaxyBee, it is a magazine for adult men, but usually starring women, which, I don't know, this one felt more like a straight up shoujo manga.
It probably was shoujo, to be honest.
Yeah, and it ran from August 2013 to August 2015. 22 chapters, 4 volumes. Let's get into the plot summary. How about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
The entire world is centered around Wizard Soul, a card game that's 90% Magic the Gathering, 10% made up bullshit. Manaka works in a card shop frequented by kids who she routinely loses to. Sakurai is a boy with a powerful deck who has a crush on Manaka and likes walking her home. One day, Monika's out-of-work father comes home to reveal he got caught in a rare card scam
Fucking boomers.
and put them all into severe debt.
God damn it.
Yeah, he kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. The only hope they have of paying it back is for Manaka to win a big WS tournament. So she gets serious and breaks out the annoying bullshit deck.
I just realized, I wonder
yeah.
if there's ever any references to Weiss Schwartz, which is another popular Japanese card game.
Yeah, that's one that I keep seeing, and that's basically just the anime card game, right? Where they have...
Yeah, they have Chainsaw Man cards.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's just like a weeb card game. I don't actually know how you play it. My friend just had cards, and I made fun of him for it.
Oh.
Yeah, it pretty much just exists for anyone who's too cool to play any other anime card game, so you get to play them all.
Yep.
I'm going to go to Otakon by the end of the week. Maybe I'll see some of them there.
You definitely can find Weiss Schwartz cards at Otakon.
What is it called?
Weiss Schwartz.
White shorts?
Weiss Schwartz.
Vice shorts?
Just, it's German words. Just Google it. Just Google weeb card game.
Oh, so it means white black?
I think so.
Just go into your local card shop and start yelling in German, and someone will eventually get it.
Look, for the person who smells the worst, they're probably playing it. Wait, let me just openly insult people. No.
Yeah, insult people who like manga, aka our listener.
Yeah, that's how Mighty Number 9 was like, oh, look at these weebs in their basement playing. They're like,
An anime fan on prom night.
that's your fucking demographic that's gonna be playing a Mega Man game. Anyway, sorry. Please do continue, Zach.
She needs points in order to join the tournament, so next day she challenges Sakurai to a game. If she wins, she gets all of his, and if he wins, she'll do whatever he wants.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Thank God he's not like a creep, because anyway.
Which he thinks is her way of telling him that she likes him. She ends up crushing him in a horrible, annoying way and taking all of his points. He leaves in a huff, and they both regret that it looks like their relationship won't recover. Popcorn Jordan.
Yeah, it's great because like this apparently affects his chances of getting into high school.
There's like a grade multiplier, your score. So she really fucked up his life by doing this.
She like fucked him up. Yeah.
Can we take a second just to be like how into this card game this world is? Like
Yeah.
a small jump ahead, but apparently you can pad your college grades with how good you are at the game, and your horoscope is determined by the game.
Yep.
That's borderline dystopian.
I feel like it's taking Yu-Gi-Oh to its logical conclusion in like a different way.
Well, there's literally your dueling performance can influence what high school you go to in Yu-Gi-Oh!
And probably, oh yeah, because they have special duelist high schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably like also what jobs you can get. Oh god, imagine the interview is you have to duel your interviewer.
Or they
Fuck.
make you open a pack of cards and they're like, I only hire lucky people.
Yeah. Oh my god, the LinkedIn posts in that world must be horrible.
God, see, I wanted to see more shit like that. They didn't really talk about how their entire society is warped around this.
Can you imagine your entire life depends on whether you can top deck the final piece of Exodia?
It turns out that the reason why Monica is so good is that her terminally ill mother was an expert player. And her mother had this idea that, like, the more she suffered, the better her luck was and the better her playing was. So, like, young Monica got the idea where it's like, because of this, like, she's resigned herself to her fate and hasn't really been trying anymore. So if I defeat her, then she'll rally and she'll be able to recover. She didn't win even once, but in the process learned incredibly powerful techniques as well as horrible trauma. Monica's first match in the tournament is against Ota, a fat girl with a fatty deck, and don't blame me for that. That's what they say.
And they dressed her up in like, what was it they dressed her up as in like a cover page?
It was like they put her in like a cat maid outfit.
Yeah, it was a cat maid. Okay.
Yeah, Monica just really hates playing because it's triggering to her mother's death. I wonder why. So like while she's playing, like there are like these black text boxes and she has this blank expression on her face. But despite this, she just crushes Oda. Next, a girl who has a crush on Sakurai that Monica defeated in chapter 2 tells her next opponent, Oji, that Manaka stole her deck and she gives him a list of her cards. It doesn't help him win against her. Her next opponent is Aki, aka Roman. Hey, cousin. Hey. Hey, cousin. You want to go bowling? Big dark magician girl titties.
God.
Anyway.
This is the Jordan we're getting tonight.
She runs a fucking Exodia deck. Manaka switches things around and Exodia obliterates her ass instead. Next, she's pitted against a cat girl named Kokono and her best friend / maybe girlfriend, Yukino. There's something there. There's a little bit of chemistry. I don't know. Maybe they're just friends.
They're in lesbians.
Yeah, just friends. Only friends.
And they were dueling partners.
They were roommates. Yukino was bullied because even though she has an encyclopedic knowledge of WS, she is trash at the game. Kokono, however, stood up for her by dressing silly, which brought them together. The jealous girl from earlier takes Monica's deck and marks her cards up with a utility knife. She then tells Kokono that Monica is cheating. However, after Kokono loses, the jealous girl walks up and asks, hey, why didn't you tell the judge? You would have got her disqualified. And Yukino says it's because you're fucking lying. You're a fucking piece of shit bully. And Manaka was not paying attention to that shit. It didn't even make sense which cards were you fucking marked up.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Go away. We don't like you.
Yeah, they just like mark some random ass cards.
Yeah.
And I love the retcon where, like, by the way, these cards have always had sleeves on them. I just never drew them.
Yeah.
That was a weird take.
Here's the thing. Clearly, the author is not actually very well versed of how high level Magic the Gathering play goes, because there's a lot of little things. And I think in some jokes, she's like, I have a consultant. So she probably didn't really play Magic that intensely before making this.
She mentions that she's like a casual player.
Yeah.
Now, I think one of the things at the end, they mentioned that they wanted to make it because they didn't have anyone to drink and play Magic with or something along those lines.
Like, she wanted to play against other female Magic players, but, like, it was really hard to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Popcorn David.
Her next opponent, Samugi, is an ancient 29-year-old talented victim of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Could you imagine being 29 years old?
God, already in the grave.
That triggered me so much when I saw that. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh player who's in his 50s, and he is one of the most beloved players in the Pro League right now.
He's the guy who did Exodia.
Yeah, he pulled off Exodia at a YCS.
He pulled off Exodia. It was so cool. Oh my god, it was the coolest fucking thing. But anyway...
Yeah, it's a close match of Monica, but Monica wins because Monica can never lose. Then she plays against an asshole who makes fun of Sakurai, and she obviously wins because he sucks. Then she defeats a girl with a deck of cute cards. It's time for the finals where Monica plays against a dude named Chikudate with a Hawaiian burn deck who's a protege of Samugi.
All of his cards were like Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of really weird references that was cool.
Yeah.
This whole time, Monica has been absolutely miserable, but Chikudate's love of the game makes her start to question if maybe she can enjoy it too. She still crushes him though and wins the tournament. Since she won, she gets to play an exhibition match against White, an idol who is an expert at White. Fuck, I saw WS and I started saying White Schwartz. Monica puts together a deck with all of her friends' cards and loses, but she already won the money, so who gives a shit? The next day, Sakurai goes into the card shop to find Monica swamped with fans trying to get her autograph. He gets her to come play WS with him as he struggles to tell her he loves her. Monica says she hates playing, but he says that he disagrees. Monica wouldn't be this ready to play if she hated it. She realizes that actually she does kind of like it and cries a little bit. They go for a walk and Monica tells Sakurai she loves him at the end. Except Jordan wrote, aw, so he's going, aw, and he got a chibi point. That motherfucker.
Aww.
Aw, the end.
So anyway, let's get into the characters. Zach, do you mind telling us about Monica Ichinose, which is the last name I don't want to talk about because it just makes me think of Ichinose's Deadly Sins.
Same.
That gets me the entire time, too. It took me a while to even realize her name was Monaca or Monica, however we want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So Monica is the main girl. The deck that she uses, I think, is one of the most... I think it's probably the high point to me, is the fact that she uses, like, a stun control deck, like, literally designed to make everyone else have no fun, just like her.
Not only that, but like people comment on the fact that her deck is filled with garbage. Like her deck should just fucking suck. Like they're all like extremely conditional cards, but like she's good enough where she makes it work basically, which I thought was cool. And like, yeah.
One thing that I wrote down about her that when in the first start of it, I'm just like, oh, it's kind of funny. She's cute and happy, and she has this like kind of dark, no fun deck. And then as the story progresses, she kind of just starts matching the deck more and more, getting darker and darker.
Yeah.
You saw when those black text boxes come out, you're like, all right, this is going to be some fucked up shit is going to be going on.
Yeah. Holy shit, she just is miserable playing this.
I also want to say, I don't remember the last time we saw a proper Kudere character.
What's a Kudere?
A Kudere is like Robin from One Piece, like the bad bitch archetype where she knows what she wants and how to get it.
I don't know if I would describe her that way. It's more like she's a tsundere for the card game itself.
I don't know. She's definitely at first. I at first thought she might have been a yandere. Which imagine that if she like was legit. Like I will do anything to win these games and start like.
You know what, David? I don't think she's any dere.
That's impossible.
Yeah, every girl does have to be a dere type. I understand that, but like
all deres are beautiful.
Yes, every girl and Vegeta must be a dere
yes,
type.
Vegeta the best tsundere.
The best tsundere, yeah.
I also want to say that I actually talked to Tucker, and her name, despite having the word mana in it, is not a reference to Magic the Gathering. He checked. It's a different spelling in Japanese. It's still possible that maybe the author just didn't realize it was spelled differently, but...
Or it could have been a pun.
Yeah, but it's just like, it doesn't seem to intentionally be that her name is a Magic the Gathering reference, is the short of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I never even noticed that until you brought it up. I just like, oh, Japanese name.
Yeah, I just thought that it was like, it seemed like it could have been a fun nod, right? Because that's the name of the resource system, Magic is Mana. I digress, but yeah. Yeah, so what else do you guys think about her? I don't know, I just kind of wasn't that big a fan of her, to be honest.
Yeah, I think one of my kind of hang-ups is kind of like I said, I like the idea of having a main character in a card game, manga, or anime playing more of a degenerate stun deck and then maybe gaining confidence going into other decks, or, you know, just there could be a fun twist on it, but it eventually just turned into every chapter someone trying to come up with a giant strategy, and then she just goes no and takes away all the stakes.
She had so much plot armor, like Yugi level plot armor, where she just always had the proper card.
Yeah. I thought that like her backstory was very interesting with her mother. I actually really liked that whole thing. I thought that they were like the best chapters in the series.
Yeah.
Where it's like she was going up against her mom, and as her mom like got more and more terminally ill, her deck became more and more filled with like zombies and like skeletons and stuff. I thought that was like a really cool way to use the premise of like the cards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also made like a lot of sense. It really made you understand why she was simultaneously very good at this game but like did not like playing.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, yeah, she was playing every day against basically essentially a grandmaster of Wizard Souls, and like every day, but it was an extremely traumatizing experience. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
She also had a bunch of people at school that like hated her for no reason.
Well, it's they hated her because the one girl was in love with Sakurai and
teenagers.
Yeah, and got basically jealous of Monica, and she was also kind of the leader of her clique, so her clique kind of did whatever she wanted.
Yeah, that's fair. And then speaking of clique, Jordan, do you mind telling us about Sakurai?
Yeah, so he's kind of like the male love interest, not as important as Monaca.
Yeah, he's just kind of is there.
He's there every now and then. He kind of shows up in disguise to watch her play, clearly loves her. Like whenever they talk, it's like he's very awkward and he doesn't know how to talk about anything other than Wizard Souls.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually kind of believable for a middle schooler. I don't know. But yeah, he's like a really good player, but she stole his fucking points.
Yeah, she really fucked him over.
She fucked him over.
How does that allowed at the tournament? Like, can you imagine if, like, let's say I ran into a NASCAR driver and I said, hey, if I can beat you in a race, I get to take your place at the next race.
At the end of the series, I think she was kind of saying, hey, let me give you your points back, kind of. Like, she needed it to get into the tournament and win it, but I think it was like kind of stated or implied that she was at least trying to give him his points back. I think he said, no, you keep them.
I'm already homeless.
Or it's like, my parents are already rich as fuck. So like, he also gives Manaka the card Holy War, aka Jihad.
Jihad.
Jihad. It's Dark Hole from Yu-Gi-Oh! It wipes all the monsters on the field.
Yeah.
I love the only time she ever actually draws it, the first time she ever actually draws it, she doesn't even use it. She literally discards it right in front of him like, I don't need this.
What a dick move.
Yeah.
God.
Oh god. No, she was playing like an asshole basically, but it was all like psychological and shit.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel that's it. There were a bunch of side characters. I did appreciate that they kept them relevant, but no one really matters that much. So why don't we get into why it failed? Speaking of how she discarded his gift, what an asshole. So Zach, what would you say are some things that stood out to you, things you didn't enjoy?
As far as that goes, I think one of the first things that gets me, it very clearly wanted to be Magic the Gathering, but the let me copy your homework but change a few things version.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was expecting Magic the Gathering, but then they brought in setting like in Yu-Gi-Oh! And using monsters as energy like Duel Masters and Vanguard. And they never explained just the base rules, which you need for those hype moments. Like, in order to know why someone assembling Exodia is cool, you need to tell them, oh, because if you get all of them, it's an auto win. And they never really did that. And I actually made a note of it. They didn't explain the whole monsters as crystals or whatever mechanic until chapter 9, just under halfway through the series.
Yeah, well, her like big duel where she gets all the points, they never actually explain how the game works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, as I said before, I feel more frustrated than you, Jordan, because I understand what competitive Magic is like, and I can tell how she didn't do her homework. It's like if someone came in and made like a manga about a metal band, and everything was like they just read a Wikipedia page, you would probably be pretty pissed too.
No, David, no. What you're describing is my reaction to the Doctor Who episode that was about music, where they just stated all this complete bullshit about music theory and chords that was just absolute trash and made me really fucking mad. So I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so for instance, something that stood out to me is, well, first there was a sleeve thing where she was like, she must be such a casual. It's like, obviously everyone who's playing competitively uses sleeves. But the other thing was she had a character say, oh, I changed my deck for day 2 to be better against a wider range of decks. Like, inherently, day 2 would mean that you would have less diversity because A, you're playing against less people.
Yeah.
And there's going to be less types of decks that are able to compete competitively. So naturally, it's going to be self-selected. It doesn't make sense with how professional Magic tournaments would work.
Right. You want to be more and more specific as time goes on. Like, you want the wide array at the beginning because last thing you need is one chump rogue deck to get a good top deck on you and knock you out of the tournament. But once you get past that variety, once you get into the top 64, top 16, there's probably only going to be 4 to 6 different decks.
Yeah, it's also like, I don't think she really understood that competitive Magic is a Swiss system. And it was really annoying also that she never lost, because in a Swiss system, you can lose. You can probably lose once or twice and make day 2 if it's a big enough tournament, which this looked like, if given the prize was like $20,000 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was massive.
It's like, does she not know? Like, she had people still competing, but it's like, you can play, and it was needed. She needed to lose a match.
Yeah.
And it would have been completely fine. You can go X1 in day 2, most tournaments.
Right. I think the main thing that we've got to agree, it comes down to the believability. If they wanted to do their own game or do an homage to Magic, you need us to believe that this game is so beloved and is so solid that it makes everyone want to play it. But it felt so messy. And even if I wasn't big into card games, which I have boxes and boxes of Yu-Gi-Ohs and Magic cards, like, it still just doesn't feel like a game. Like, when you watch Yu-Gi-Oh, even if you don't necessarily know what's happening, between the dramatic monologues and all the energy they put around it, it sucks you in and it teaches you the basics once you get to Battle City.
So here's the thing. On one hand, I kind of feel like the point of the manga was not the game itself, but like kind of the things around the game. But at the same time,
I can agree with that.
That's still a significant portion of like the manga. It reminds me of Cypher Academy a little bit, where Cypher Academy's issue, what is that like, you can listen to our review of it on the Patreon, but basically there's a part of it that I genuinely like, but the majority of it is just complete skippable, unreadable trash. And like this, I wouldn't say it's to that level, but still, when they're having the card game, a lot of the time my eyes just kind of skim over it, and it's like I draw this card and it's like, well, okay, I don't fully understand what that does, but like, okay.
Half the duels aren't shown. They show them playing like 2 cards, and then they cut to everyone watching it, and you read the captions of the big screen of everything that's happening while you're not watching.
Yeah.
It's kind of show don't tell by necessity, sort of. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just also, since they don't really explain the game, you don't really know like how close it is, because almost every game was like she just locked them down and that was like it. Like she pretty much wins the exact same time every single game.
it's sort of, in some ways, it reminded me of the game that, like, Komugi and Meruem play in the Chimera arc.
Yeah.
Where, like, you don't know what the fuck the game is, except not done as well, basically.
Yeah, but also that the Hunter x Hunter isn't about it. I mean, the better comparison is Greed Island, which had a very robust explanation and well thought out how the game works.
I was gonna say Greed Island, but I understand how Greed Island works a lot more.
Jordan was like, "Oh, what's the closest comparison to an arc and fall to a card game arc? Oh, Chimera Ant." Also, again, like, the characters aren't that interesting. They're hung around, which is great, but the fact that there's really only one character to talk about in a 22 manga series, there was a lot of characters that show up and then just aren't really that interesting, you know?
This was the Monica show, kind of, and people reacting to Monica. Like,
So you're saying it's just Monica? That's a DDLC reference.
DDLC?
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Right!
Yes.
Okay.
There's gotta be some people listening doing the fucking point meme.
No, I understand what you're talking about now. It just, yeah. Anyway, it was very much, Monaco was entirely like the thing was based around. But like, yeah, there weren't really many supporting characters. I mean, there were a bunch of supporting characters, but none that were really like focused on in the same way.
Yeah.
And we got one chapter of them trying to crack the code that is the main character, only to get shut down. It really felt like they tried to put in the different player types as each character, so that way if you didn't like the main character, you might get attached to one of the side ones. Because I got somewhat attached to Roman. I love the fact that she just plays the deck she likes.
I loved Roman. I loved Roman. She was great. She was just like, nah, I want to run an Exodia deck, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I like how they don't even just reference Exodia, but they reference in this world that there's a deck where if you get 7 cards, you automatically win. And if you look, the cards are just the Dragon Balls.
Yeah, it's great.
Really?
No, wait, we're talking about positives. We can't do that yet. We'll be there in a minute.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
Also, how did you guys feel about the art? I thought the art was just kind of very gets the job done. It's like a workhorse art.
I mean, the art was cute. It was what it needed to be. Although, I don't know, sometimes it didn't work. Like, I thought that, like, the dark shadows over people's faces, like, in some ways they look good, in other ways they look kind of awkward, the way that it was.
Yeah, just like me.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, also, holy shit, this entire manga is one tournament arc. There's nothing else fucking happens except she goes, she meets an opponent, there's maybe an interesting fun fact, they have a game, and then she kind of just wins, because the game doesn't really explain itself or make the matches interesting. So it always has to be like a super crazy 180, you know, I outsmarted your 500 IQ, because she can't really make an individual beat by beat match interesting.
I don't know how this manga would have kept going.
No, me neither.
This manga needed to end when it did. I guess maybe the next arc would have there would have had to have been a big shift, at least in how Monica was.
Yeah, but why don't I think we're ready to start talking about our section. So is everyone cool if we go into what it did well?
Yeah.
So I know we talked about it a little bit in why it failed, but Jordan, really, you have said you actually quite like the series. So what are the things that really you enjoyed the most?
So, as I said, I really liked Manaka's like traumatic backstory. I thought that was like really interesting.
Yeah.
And it was also like, I really thought it was like compelling how like this is not really a series about a card game. This is a series about a girl learning to rise above her trauma and kind of reclaim this thing that like she's good at, but like that has been kind of taken from her due to trauma. I thought that was like really interesting. Like whenever Monica is like super dark and just miserable, like she is, you can just feel it. Like the author does an incredible job of just making you feel this intense misery and just emotionlessness.
Those black text boxes, man.
The black text boxes, the blank stare, and then it contrasts immediately with her when she's not playing the game and she's like much more like positive and like much more normal and like just kind of acting like a middle school girl.
So would you say that she's a middle school girl that has some sort of alternative personality where she can play a card game she's otherwise not that great at a very high level?
No, because she's great at it. Were you comparing it to something, David?
Yes.
What were you comparing it to?
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes.
Oh, yeah, right. I got thrown off because I'm like, Yuki's not a teenage girl. But besides that, I understand what you say.
No, it's fine. I don't think that's a sincere ripoff.
No, not at all.
I kind of got weirdly that dynamic as well with kind of what felt like an alternate personality that I feel really came out when her not boyfriend got insulted and then she just officially let it all out. So that mixed with some of the mechanics that we talked about earlier makes me kind of think that a little bit more of some other card games and other card anime and manga were slipped in.
Oh, I mean, you know, this definitely has influences, but like what I think is interesting is this almost feels like, well, what if the real world did the Yu-Gi-Oh thing where like everything was based around the card game? What would that actually be like? It's almost like a parody of Yu-Gi-Oh, like except without like the hologram technology. Like, what would it be like if it was actually just people playing cards?
I've been wanting to read the manga for Yu-Gi-Oh, and apparently they don't have the hologram stuff in Duelist Kingdom. They just sit at a table and play.
What?
The manga goes completely off. Like the anime is almost nothing like the manga. Like you'll find like like some stuff that lines up, but you have to get through the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero stuff first where
Oh yeah, I'm not even talking Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero. I'm talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga Duelist Kingdom.
Oh, no, I've read Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0. Yeah, no. Where it's like they didn't even have the card game until like most of the way in.
And the card game is called Magic and Wizards, so they were not
Right.
So I guess the wizard in this is probably an homage to that. There's your fun fact. And as I said before, I do appreciate that the opponents she defeats stick around. They didn't really talk about it, but it is a tournament with a round robin system, so they were still playing. So it's just nice that they didn't despawn, you know?
And I also like how one of the reasons she hates playing is like she hates playing to win, basically, because the way that she knows how to play to win is to play this style that she knows everyone fucking hates to play against. And so she's convinced that everyone she plays against is gonna fucking hate her. But after she beats them and people are like, nah, we still like you, it's like, what? And it's like kind of sweet to see her like realize, oh, like I don't destroy friendships this way. That's nice.
That was something else I really enjoyed too. That actually kind of struck a chord with me. I'm one of those people that when I get into something, I kind of become a hardcore casual so when some of my friends got into playing like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and Magic Arena, and I had all my pre-built decks and I was worried they wouldn't have fun with it. So I have like half my decks are for climbing the ladder and grinding, and the other half are just for fun ones because I was worried they wouldn't want to play anymore.
Yeah, I had that issue too. I have some commander decks that I don't play if I'm trying to have fun.
Also, can I just say the match and then like the callback to the match, like the match where she just goes for 20 rounds attacking.
Yeah, that was great.
That was amazing.
That was beautiful.
But that was like one of the only times they really changed the formula.
Like, I kind of agree with you, but like that moment was like really good. Basically what happens is it does an amazing job of showing how her deck sucks to play against, but that it's really strong, where basically she gets her opponent into a loop where her opponent can do nothing and it's her turn again, and she attacks their life points for like a little bit of damage at a time, and then it just repeats over and over and over again until like it's the most boring game you can possibly play against. And so So there's just one page with the same panel repeated like 20 times, and it's amazing.
That was one of my favorite things because it displayed the monotony so well.
It did a great
and
job.
how matter of fact it was. It was just like 500, no, 500, no, 500, no, for like a page and a half.
Yeah, it was just so good. I loved it.
And you know what else? I love talking about where it could have gone. So shall we get into that? So Zach, what would you say is something you would have revised about the series to have made it more successful?
So I think the first thing I would have revised is I would have kind of put the game a little bit more to the forefront, because as it stands right now, it felt like it was a romance that they just happened to put a card game in. And obviously they should have put the romance first and forefront, but I think leaning into the card game a little bit more, like maybe have, if it went a little longer, have the two characters go on a date where they try not to talk about the card game or where they try to, or like, but it just ultimately ends with them like playing in the middle of a busy restaurant to see who pays for the bill or something. I think there would have been a lot of really fun and cute ways to integrate that. I think that's really the biggest thing I would do, is just, I think the balancing of the card game to the romance needs to be put a little bit more. And then I would have cranked up the comedy a little bit more, like we talked about with the chip 500, chip 500, chip 500. I think a little more things like that to just add some character to the matches and to the players would have gone such a long way.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think it would have been better if the game wasn't so blatantly a reskin of Magic and then she kind of duct tapes weird rules to it.
See, here's the thing. It either needed to be less like Magic or it needed to be literally Magic the Gathering.
There is already a romance Magic the Gathering manga, though.
Really?
I think that's actually getting an anime next year.
Yes, we actually, our guest, David Evelyn, is the official translator on it.
Whoa.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So that also may be that I know exactly what I want out of the series and it already exists.
I feel like the alternative to it just being Magic, though, is it had to do something that, like, a good example is Double Taisei, where I don't know shit about shogi.
But they don't care if you know anything about shogi in that manga.
They don't give a fuck if you know anything. Like, again, the thing where it was like 500, 500, 500. That did an amazing job of showing it. And there was like one or two other times where you really understood it, like the Exodia one, where it was just like, oh, she just did her own strategy against her, like just this total reverse. I felt like that one was done pretty well. But like, yeah, generally speaking, I feel like I didn't understand what was fully happening. And this manga needed to do like a better job of that, because in those moments, it was like the 500 was like the best example of showing, not telling.
Yeah, imagine if it had been Magic, so they just took Magic stats and multiplied them by 500, so it would have been just one damage. So I think that would have been really cool. I also feel like they didn't really talk much about her father's debt. I really wanted her to have like a life or death match against like a Yakuza guy, and he loses a finger every time he like loses a match. Like, it's like just crazy shit, and she wins game one and he cuts his pinky off or something.
You're basically saying you wanted the manga to be crazier.
It just felt boring, man. They're living in a fucking world where everything's about card games, but it's so uninteresting.
You bring that up, and I just had a thought, like, because they even talked about like the fake rare scam at the beginning. Like, do something with that. Like, have like a back alley deal where someone says, "Show me the goods," and they open it and it's all counterfeit secret rares or something.
Yeah, I wanted the dude who has like that was in Yu-Gi-Oh too, but the like just fake cards and shit.
It would have been nice for it to not be a tournament.
Yeah, that was so boring.
Yeah, it wasn't really doing much with the setting. I mean, like, because then it's just a Magic tournament. We have those in real life. Okay. Like, it's kind of like, I don't see why the whole world had to revolve around Magic the Gathering for you to have a Magic tournament.
Yeah, I felt this was overall a draft away where she just needed an editor to sit with her. It's like, she didn't put this in the oven long enough before she started the series.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you can tell that because she didn't really have a plot. She didn't really think about it. She didn't make the game mechanics when she started, obviously.
Yeah.
Draft. Oh, there you go. That's another Magic word.
Hey!
So speaking of miscellaneous plots, why don't we get into that? So a plot element I thought was going to happen is there's actually a very famous case of a Magic card that used to be worth absolutely garbage and is now worth hundreds of dollars. Like, people use this bookmarks. It was just in the garbage. And that card, I'm going to pause and people will guess, Lion's Eye Diamond, bulk rare. Some other cards came out and it just blew up. I think there might have also been a rule change and it just became one one of the most valuable cards. So I kind of thought maybe that was going to be like the happy ending where he actually was right and a card did come out that made his like bulk rare worth like 100 times what he bought it for. I thought that actually feel like that would have been a fun, cheesy. That's kind of like what you would see in a Hallmark movie. So now I kind of want to see a Hallmark movie about Magic the Gathering.
Oh, that would be great, actually. Wait, what's the name of that card?
Lion's Eye Diamond.
Oh my god.
And then also another thing is that control and swing with one creature just over a ton of turns is probably a reference to the deck, as I talked about in the chibi. Zach, are you familiar with what the deck is?
I am not.
Is that Yadalock?
No.
I know Yadalock is the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent.
Magic the Gathering had to invent these concepts, so literally someone invented the idea of a control deck. And it was the first of its kind that people just called it the deck, where you just play counter spells and destruction, and then you just swung with one creature about 5 times in one. Or 4 times, because it's a 5/5. So I just thought that's fun. So it's like, it's weird how what she knew to reference, but then had really big gaps. So it's like very strange who she talked to, especially because a lot of these references are from early Magic, but this came out in like 2015. And there was like absolutely no references to the state of what the game was like at the time this came out.
It seems like she kind of alluded to this, that like the people she was getting her research from were like Magic players who not as into the game as they used to be. You know what I mean? Like like how if you talk to me about Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd be like, Summon Skull, that's a good card, right? Like, so that doesn't shock me at all that this is like early Magic, basically.
I found some of the cards that they created kind of fascinating because some of them, I'm sure there's equivalent to the real life version in Magic the Gathering, but some of them just felt so broken. Like there was that one card she used all the time called Fog of War, and depending on how it was drawn, it looked like it would have been about like 3 to 5 mana. And it's the thing that let them steal all of their monsters, immediately get their own battle phase attack with them, and then wipe the board with all the attacking monsters. That feels so broken.
Yeah. And then everybody was like, why is she using that garbage card? And I'm like, how is that bad? That seems like a really good card.
Well, her cards were very situational.
That's fair.
There have been decks like that, like Amulet Titan, or actually Eldrazi Winter, where they're just cards that are just look like a pile of bulk cards. Oh, Eggs. Just, there was a deck called Eggs. I won't go into it, but essentially a lot of posts on Reddit were, how does this deck win? It's a kind of, you just jerk off for about 10 minutes and then you win. And they actually banned the cards not because they were overpowered, but because it was such a miserable experience, where there was like a notable tournament where one guy said, I just have no response to anything he does. Tell me when he ends his turn. And he left to go to the bathroom mid, like, and this was like in like a top 16 match that was like being televised.
Those are some of the best when you tune in. I'm not sure, like, just kind of get to Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit. I feel like years ago, there's this player, his name's Jesse Cotton, and he's considered like one of the greats. He's won multiple YCS tournaments, and they put him in a feature stream match up against like a 10-year-old kid. And I think, if I remember right, I think the rules are you're not allowed to scoop on a streamed event.
What?
I don't know what scooping means.
Pick up all your cards and you give up.
Like you're done?
Yeah, like you basically give up and say, okay, go next game.
Oh.
But so, because you're not allowed to do that on a featured streamed match, it's just this grown man, like full on, I think he's won like 2 or 3 tournaments at this point, just powering and flexing on this 10-year-old kid.
I thought you were gonna say the kid won, but no.
No. Oh, by the way, my X story, what's even better is the guy wrote, when you play Magic Gathering online, there's a button that means auto concede, like auto like give up, or not like surrender, but just let your opponent do whatever. He wrote that on like a sticky note and just put it on his chair, on like his chair, and left. Also, I want to say Persephone, which was like her really big card. I feel like it changed effects mid-match because at first it seemed like it brings the creature back to its owner's control, which is why her combo worked. But then later she steals a creature with it. And the first lady was like, I don't need to care about what's in my graveyard, you know? So it's like, I don't know, maybe I misunderstood, but it seemed like the offer legitimately changed the effect of that card mid-game.
Kind of glazed over what the cards did sometimes. I was just like, did I? Was it?
Yeah. Oh, and my final is also they had to explain why someone might wear a face mask because they're sick. And I'm like, oh, how things changed. 2015 was such simpler times. Did you guys have any miscellaneous thoughts, or should I get into MaxyBees?
The only one that I want to point out real quick is I loved the little tournament cards that they gave for everyone that had their stats, and one of the stats was deck price. I'm not sure if you saw that, and there's like some characters where the deck price was like maxed out.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. That's great. I did see there was a card that was Infinity as a stats, which never came up, so I'm not quite sure why they put that in.
That's weird to put that in and then not do anything with that.
Yeah, but now let's get into some MaxyBee fun facts. They said, I cannot stress enough that this author's name is Aki Eda. A fully filled out 5-point star is not asterisk, it is not open star. It is considered misspelling their name if you do not use that explicit character. You do not need me to tell you Wizard Soul is heavily based on Magic the Gathering, and if you squint, you can apply game knowledge. And they want to say that they used to play Grixis, that is similar to Mangas, but they don't play anymore. Rare card scams, as depicted in the manga, aren't far from reality, where people often speculate on what increases in value. And the offer between chapters make it clear Magic isn't the only card game that inspired Wizard Soul, as was the Prince of Tennis card game, gets specific mention.
Huh?
What?
It's a bit different. It's about playing a game of tennis, crazy, using your deck for players and shots, and a playmat for layout.
That actually sounds really interesting.
I want that really bad now.
I kind of want to play that. What? That's so cool.
So they have a official single player only PS2 video game Card Hunter. So you can try playing that, Jordan.
Wow.
Yeah. Notably, the art takes up a lot of space on the cards because of how pretty the boys are.
I mean, that is the draw of Prince of Tennis. I mean, you know.
Fair enough. All right. So why don't we get into Final Verdict? How's that sound?
Oh, real quick, another miscellaneous thought. I thought it was really funny how, like, instead of, like, the heart of the cards, it was just misery.
Yeah.
I kind of stole that from Tucker's
Fart of the cards.
6-word summary. So yeah, let's get into it.
Fart of the cards. Starting with 6-word summaries from our community. Tucker, the heart of the cards, suffering. Oh, where have I heard that one?
Yeah, nah, it was...
Yeah. MaxyBee said tap your manga right to left. Or Paladin, CGDCT, cute girls doing card tournaments. Blamumu, it's the drama of the cards. Jemmy, what jocks think playing TCG does. Dackerson, authorcast, the reader's interest descends. Diego, true love is all about the cards. Dude Rocks, should have been about the lesbians. That's true. Glornak, you'll never be better than Yu-Gi-Oh!
You don't have a ghost of a chance.
Ghost of a chance. Oh man, I wish we could get Little Karibo. That would have been so fun if we had Little Karibo.
Oh god.
Grey Potter, Ichinose's real deadly sin, playing blue. Correct. Captain Clueless, romance was exiled until last turn. Lord Anubis, the 2-year curse strikes again. Meru, shuffle target manga into its owner's library. Portal Man, heart, my heart is in your cards. Heart, those were heart emojis, very cute.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they don't count because I was still 6 words. Breadblade, sad Bean learns to love again. Resident Warhammer nerd, as a blue player, Lamo counterspell. Spubby, Monica could have, Spubby, Monica really could have used ravioli tokens. A shout out. Oh man, I love my goblin dog. Spike, cancel series. It cannot be regenerated. T. Wolfwood, the real Ichinose family since manga.
This is better than Ichinose.
Yep, and Thor's, you activated my sad card, Kaiba. My 6-word summary is Monica B, draw pass, draw pass.
Nice.
How about you, Jordan?
You've activated my trap card. Trauma.
Whoa. And then how about you, Zach?
The first one I have is, anyone want to play Neopets TCG instead?
God.
Then even makes Cardfight Vanguard look good. And then finally, assembled the 5 pieces of Flop Zodia.
Flop Zodi's pretty good.
Flop Zodia is good. I kind of like the first one because I forgot that there was a Neopets TCG.
They just re-released it like 2 weeks ago.
I just saw an ad for it, actually.
Oh. I always forget that Neopets still exists.
No, my wife is super into Neopets right now. They're going
Really?
through literally what they're calling the Neopets Renaissance. It's in the hands of the original owners again. They're like constantly trying to upgrade it, but it still runs off the same like crappy code from like 2008.
Oh god.
All right, and then it's time, Jordan. Are you calling this not a flop?
I wish.
Okay, you were like, oh, this is going to be such an upset in opinion between us.
I maintain that I really enjoyed this manga, but it's a flop.
All right, I agree. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, it's definitely a flop. It definitely doesn't go to like full-on flop, but
It's not certified, definitely not. Again, I really enjoyed it, and I maintain that, but yeah, it's flop.
Yeah, it's not certified. It's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good to me. So what should people check out instead? Mine is just kind of lame, but fuck it. Just read Destroy All Humanity, you know?
I don't know what that is.
It's literally the manga I just talked about. That's literally a Magic the Gathering manga. So it's set in like 1998, and it's just people playing Magic the Gathering, and it's about 2 teenagers falling in love.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's literally what you would have wanted out of this manga. How about you, Jordan?
Hey, you like card games? Play Slay the Spire. I love Slay the Spire.
Slay the Spire.
I play it constantly.
Why am I not surprised?
Constantly.
I played that for the first time like a week ago.
It's so good.
It's way too addicting.
I know. I have over 2,000 hours in it.
I can't get sucked into it, otherwise I won't go to work.
You won't go to work. Get it on your phone, then you'll be able to go to work.
And then, Zach, what is your recommendation?
Honestly, there is a YouTube channel called Tolarian Community College.
Oh, yeah, the professor.
Yeah, watch the professor. He does they do commander things, and honestly, the dynamics and the relationships that form in those hour-long games are way better than anything in the book. So
I've reached out to the professor. He has not gotten back to us, so maybe one day.
one day.
Oh, and then Jordan, I would say this is not the worst series we've talked about.
Not even remotely.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe next week. So let's get into a wrap up. How's that sound, gang?
Mm-hmm.
Zach, I want to start by saying thank you so much for joining us today and being an awesome member of the community. Where can people find all the great things you do?
Yep, so you can find me on Twitch. I stream once or twice a week. We do anime games like Genshin Impact, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. You can follow me on YouTube. I'm getting started on my first video essays where I make essentially toolboxes to help you get your friends into reading manga and watching anime.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yep, and then also on the YouTube occasionally I'm getting some of my stand-up edited down, so that'll be on there as well. So just really look for Try Attack Zach under all the things and you'll probably find me.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. I've been wanting to make videos at some point, but I'm too ugly. Anyway, props to Jordan for making the opening and ending theme, being a great co-host, and helping with editing.
Thank you, David, for everything that you do on the show.
No problem, babe. Props to Merliel for the awesome cover art. Find her online at Lyle Mur, and Nigel for being our generous art benefactor. Thank you, Dylan, for assistance with editing. You can find his podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Thanks to Tucker and MaxyBee for assistance with pronunciation, translation, other miscellaneous research. Find us on X at Shonen Flopcast, Tumblr, Shonen-Flop, our website, shonenflop.com. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcast. And if you're listening, dropping us a review or a comment, subscribing, all that good stuff really helps. Come join the Shonen Flop Discord. Open to everyone, patron or not. Hang out with us, talk about anime, games, or whatever else is on your mind. You can find a link to it in the show notes or on our site. We have a Assassination Classroom book club. We have movie nights every week. It's been a heck of a time. I'm really loving the community, going and doing stuff.
Hell yeah.
And if you've been enjoying our podcast and want to help us keep going, consider subscribing to our Patreon. Wouldn't be able to keep the show running without their support. Get a ton of awesome perks. Jordan, what are we dropping in the month of July for our patrons?
We are checking out Cypher Academy Part 2.
Yes. With who?
With Josh from Volume 1.
Hell yeah.
We had Megan from Volume 1 for the first part. Now we got Josh.
Yeah. Man, you could even be sitting and listening to our recording live or listen to warm-up audio or the Shonen Drop where Jordan and I review last month's episodes and talk about it and answer and create words. It's fine. Just go check it out. It'll make sense if you listen to it. Find it at patreon.com/shonenflop, and I want to read some of our wonderful patrons. Starting with our dolphin dads, we have Glornak, Rachel, my wonderful wife. I didn't have that dog in me today, so she let me order something yummy for lunch. And Sean, you like it wet, and so do I. I know you never waste a trip. I feel a little poke coming through. Moving on down to the ravioli, to your fun ravioli fact for this week. Ravioli has realized she can actually pet herself. So what she now does is, if I'm on the couch is reachable to her, she will grab my hand and then put it on her back and then start running circles around the couch. So I will keep petting her without actually having to move.
She is so smart.
She is so silly. And we have Chris, Eva, Jeanette Davis, Lady T, Matt Scarlett, Mirmaden, T, Tiffany, and Trevor Schechner. Moving on down to our King of the Forest, we have 090Z, Bandit Stoof,
My girlfriend.
Brad, Chad, Jacob Andrew Galway, Justin Hefner, Kirby Mon, Marty, Riley, Sarah, T. Wolfwood, and Tommy Boy. And I also want to give a big thank you to our Galactic Ball Federation officers and our Beast Children.
Thank you. I love all of you.
And Jordan, I love you, man. So what? Are you just going to say listen to Mission Ignition?
Check out Mission Ignition.
Yeah, it's on internet.
It's on podcast places everywhere except YouTube.
Everywhere you do. All right. Oh, I got my library card. Arfa would be so proud of me. Anyway, let's get into sign off. Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next Monday as we give our full thoughts on Super Dog Rill and Fall. This has been David.
This has been Jordan.
This has been Zach.
And you've been listening to Shonen Flop.
Keep on flopping, floppers.
Yeah.